Hi, everybody. It's Lenny. Doing a little Facebook Live testing here. Hope people are watching. I'm not sure if you guys are. Doing my best here, but for the time being, let me go check Facebook Live for me. If anybody's watching. I don't know exactly what's going on, but let me go check. Am I live? I don't know if I'm live. Can anybody see me? Okay, let's go. Okay. I don't know if people can see. Um, I think I'm live, but I'm not sure. Oh, I guess I am. Okay, never mind. All right, let's get started. Um, Looks like everything's going okay. Hey, everybody. This is Lenny. Welcome to my cartooning page. As It's a little late. I know it's 9 o'clock. I don't know if anybody's going to be watching, but again, just testing it out. Today I am planning to do a little bit of inking. I went ahead and decided to do the roughs on my iPad Pro. I pretty much, as a process, use my iPad Pro for doing all my roughs because it's portable. Feels like a scratch piece of paper. I could do it on my bed, my chair, my car, anywhere, real quick if I have an idea, and then just pop it into the iPad Pro. And then when I'm done, I simply export it and send it to my cloud, which I then transfer over um, to my computer and download it. So hopefully this will be a regular thing since the one thing I've always wanted to do is draw and stream. And at some point, when I get used to it, hopefully I'll be able to teach people who want to do a little bit of cartooning as a uh, kind of like a heads up. As a cartoonist, I'm a procrastinator, and this is no exception. My due date to upload these set of strips, which is 2 weeks worth, is on Wednesday. And unfortunately, I am uh, a procrastinator, and I channel that through Frank, who is the laziest vampire you know. At this point, let's see. my process. Let's do real quick. Right now I'm using a brush and a brush that I kind of created. It's if I show you here, it's a drop down. It's basically my custom made um, Steinway brush. Let me move this guy, put myself in the middle. Uh, if I pull this down, it goes down to my custom made Steinway brush. And with that, the colors are, um, well, first I set up the page as a CMYK file and not an RGB file. The reason being is that CMYK is used in print, and at this point, this thing will go mainly for newspapers. Well, newspaper. It goes to the Audible Sun, and for that they use CMYK colors. Believe it's C is cyan, M magenta, Y yellow, and K for black. Don't ask me. Should be CMYB, right? Okay. And for this, the setting, as you see here, is this cyan 0, magenta 0, yellow 0. And the K is 100. And the reason for that is it is what's known as absolute black. And it's necessary for newspapers because if it's not set that way, anything that's done in regular black um, or RGB type black will show up as kind of grayish and, you know, not too strong. And so this way, when it's set this way, it's really black. That being said, let's close this up. And now take a look at the layers at the right. What we have here are, I color coded each layer so that it gives me a guide. This is basically a template that I give for every single file, which is every file that I start has this to begin with. Anything in orange are things that are, you know, things that I turn off and on has to do with text or the panels, not necessarily the artwork itself, but like the foundation for it. Um, Anything in green is considered permanent. That means, and the reason I color code is it's the things that I need to do to either turn on or turn off um, when I submit, or at least when I export to a particular file. And I export basically as a PDF ultimately and send those PDFs to the newspapers. So green, always on. And that means these are the basic foundation lines, anything that is like strong blacks or kind of shadings that need to stay on both. Because for newspapers, I do both black and white and a color version. So to save myself time and a headache, I do one version that has both color and black and whites, and basically I just turn them off and on when I'm ready to submit. That way I submit two versions. And anything blue on this side here on the layers, I don't know if you can see my cursor, anything in blue is basically set for black and white. So that means if I'm going to turn in something in color, I basically just turn all the visibilities for black and white off. And red is everything color. So if I'm submitting color or if I'm submitting black and white, I turn every one of these off. All right. So that being the case, oh, and purple, this used to be purple actually, but if I had something purple, it's basically a trace layer. So actually, I'll show you. I go a little bit to it's violet here. Anyways, anything purple is basically a trace layer, so that way I don't get confused. And you see, there's a lot of layers in here. I use there's a paint background, a paint color here, and then a background paint. That way I can select foreground and background colors, turn off and on, so that you know it's a lot cleaner. I don't know if people work with programs, digital programs, but when you work with layers, it's good to have a clean setup because it gets too confusing when you have these many layers and be sure to label them so that way you don't get confused. All right, let's get started. At this point, we're doing a Halloween set, and basically the storyline is Chelsea is doing a week's worth of Halloween costume um, cartoons. So you won't see it this week, but if you're a subscriber or you get the Ottawa Sun, I don't know if people still read newspapers, but you'll be able to read this during the last week of October, sorry. Um, okay, let's get started. So for this, I go to the final layer. I call it final, but those means final lines. Zoom in a little bit, and I go panel for panel. So, all right, here we go. Beef brush. The one thing I do have to warn you, it might be a little bit slower than normal, just because I have a full-time gig, and lately I have been some instances of carpal tunnel syndrome in my right arm, my drawing arm, so my drawing hand. So um, starts to bug me a little bit. So um, I hope you don't mind if you see me just slow down a little bit every now and then, just because it's a little bit painful. But anyways, cartoon has no time limits. You know, when you're a cartoonist, you're constantly having weekly or bi-weekly deadlines, and they don't really care if you're hurt. In any case, let's get going. No more complaining. All right, here we go. As you can see, uh, kind of created a brush that gives me a, I guess you could call it a a real a real life brush feel to it, or a look to it. So it has thick, thin through pressure. And I'll show you guys that some other time, but right now, kind of in the midst of trying to come up with a finished drawing, at least for tonight. I can always, sorry, I'm probably leaning my head over, um, so that I have something to turn in. So, headlines today. I was reading that the Dodgers beat the Atlanta Braves, forcing a Game 7. I know some um, Atlanta people out there are probably a little pissed that they couldn't put away the Dodger blue, but can't say that I'm sorry, but because I'm a Dodger fan. Been watching the Dodgers for a long, long time. I was actually there when I saw the Dodgers in the 80s win. That's like my team of, it'll show my age, but who cares? Um, I was there when, oh, I wasn't there, but I watched when the team of, say, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, and all those guys, when they won. Those are the teams I kind of grew up with. Although I'll admit, even the Oral Hershiser ones was pretty good. Fernando Valenzuela, you name it. Those are the classic players that I watched. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous this week when I saw that they were getting clobbered so many times. It's supposed to be the Dodger team that was supposed to win, and technically, they won, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's right. Seton Steelers or Signal Steelers. If it wasn't for that, Dodgers would have won. Okay. You notice that when I draw outside, you do not see the lines. That's because I have a pre-built white border on the strip. But let me turn that off so you can see. This way you can see all my mistakes. This template I set up just makes my life easier. for some people out there that want to know if there's this term that a lot of people have asked me if they if I bank, and I'm like, for some people, I'm like, what? Like, what does that have to do? What does financial stuff have to do with it? Bank for cartoonists, banking is basically a term that they use for people who create a library of poses. Um, that way, if you're going to do the same thing over and over and over again, I don't know if you've seen Dilbert, but Scott Adams basically created a bank of poses, which I don't know that he needs to, because really Dilbert doesn't do it. He has a left and a right pose. That's pretty much it. They don't really do anything but to stick their hands out. So their faces are not very, I say, animated. But in any case, that's his deal. He's more successful than I am. So what am I talking about? All right, here we go. He's holding a potato chip. He's always got food. Try to make it almost like Brad Pitt. If you ever notice Brad Pitt in most movies that he does, he's always eating something, and that's much more prevalent if you saw Ocean's 11. Every scene that he's in, he's eating something. Don't believe me? Look it up. So I don't know if that's his whole shtick, you know. So, right. Oops, too much. And he's got a bowl. Actually, this is kind of fun. If I do this more often, hopefully, makes my life in cartooning easier. Because really, what's kind of the meh part of cartooning is that it's very repetitive, and some days you just run out of ideas. Yes, it happens to the best of us, and more often than not, cartoonists. And this is where I cheat, where I kind of just draw part of it and then let the border hide it. This is the advantage of being able to do digital, because in the real aspect of drawing or on paper, this is not as easy. Can't really hide as much, and to hide something like that, you'd have to use, I don't know if people will remember this, but whiteout or liquid paper, um, which I ruined so many typewriters that way because all the ribbons had white on them. Okay, there. Little motion lines, so it looks like he's at least picking up those chips. I'm also switching layers, going to the background, because then I tend to do a fill for the couch. So for that, I just kind of create a solid hole, and you'll see this later. You can see I'm also drawing, but that's where this thing comes into play. This is a mask. When I shift to this layer, as you can see, then I draw. I'll switch it to black on the left side here. Switch the color to black, flip it. You'll see I'll flip it. And once it's there, and on the mask, if I paint on this, it erases. Well, it doesn't erase, it hides it. It's still there. It just hides it so it's not visible. Because during black and white, if I do black and white, I have to make sure that these things don't appear. In color, won't matter as much because I feel color overlaps the the black backgrounds. But in black and white, I don't really fill everything with white, so that way um, they show up. So that's what I do. Okay, that panel's done. I'll go over it later. I'll show you more shortcuts. Now we do second panel where I do kind of like a close-up of Chelsea. Actually, wonder if that's better. Let's try it. Can always go back and fix the other one. All right. Man, maybe that looks better. All right, there you go. Yes. I'll go back and fix this. Make sure it matches. You know, if you make these big changes, you better make sure you fix the other ones because you want to keep the continuity. There you go. And we'll do this. So for Steinway, I guess you can say I've been doing it for 10 years now. Am I having fun? Always have fun. But business-wise, you know, the newspapers are dying. I'm lucky I'm the one I'm with now, but that's why I'm switching a little bit to do a little bit more cartoony stuff. Maybe doing a physical cartoon, you know, because you kind of have to. Everybody seems to be watching rather than reading. Is that wrong? But no, all honesty, when I was younger, I didn't read as much as I used to. It's probably why I struggle sometimes in my writing. They say to be a really good writer, you have to be a good reader. And I don't know, it was, I guess you could say I've found out recently that I'm kind of ADD. Um, I do have a hard time paying attention, and you'd never find me awake at a math class all through high school. You can ask all my friends, though you don't know them, because that would be too much information. Um, but yeah, any math class that I was in, I was pretty much half asleep. Ironically, or the weirdest part was, I was in advanced math. Who'd have thought? I faked the entire thing. I'm just kidding. I don't know how I succeeded. My favorite subject was algebra, but I kind of never went beyond that. Geometry didn't like. I don't know. It's a logical. Those things are kind of like has to do with logic, and I am horrible when it comes to logic. Okay, let's see. Two. Right. Since this is cartooning, there is a lot of cheats that you can do. Like I said, mine is I don't draw all the characters full all the time. I'll do stuff like this where I draw part of it and hide everything else behind the border. Because really, they don't need that much. Okay. You're wondering, what in the world is she doing? Well, if I have to explain the joke, I'll ruin it. So, again, the other way you can see this, unfortunately, you have to be a paid subscriber. is if you go to my Patreon, like that segue. Well, it's basically $1 for a subscription. So, um, again, the reason I do that is the newspapers are dying, and I'm just trying to make uh, kind of a passive income for myself, and at least get them seen while making an income. All right, I know. Boo hoo. Sorry, I just had to plug it. You can always wait on Facebook. Eventually, I post it on Facebook, so never worry. It's like one of those. That's what I do. I don't buy the game when it's new. I buy it when it's like 5 years old and costs $12 on Steam. So, Wind Waker. Well, actually, that's Nintendo. Um, I think I'm still in line to play. What is it? Call of Duty 3. Yes, you heard it. 3. That's how far back I am. But in all honesty, I'm kind of transitioned myself slowly out of gaming. I used to be a hardcore gamer, though I sucked. Doesn't necessarily mean I was good. But I used to play a lot. My favorite game was Zelda. Still is. Well, let me take that back. My favorite games were Diablo, StarCraft, and what else is there? Command and Conquer. And luckily enough, I got a job working with the Command and Conquer team back in 2004, I believe. And I was lucky enough to meet so many people, and a lot of them are still my friends till this day. Till this day. To this day. Till this day. Syntax, folks. Let's see. And that team, lucky enough to work on both a, a game like Command and Conquer, but with a license that was The Lord of the Rings. Love those guys. Still miss them. Those were the days. I think those were my best days. Yeah, there were times in Disney. I used to work for Disney Interactive as well, and met a lot of people there too who are friends to this day as well. And but I have to admit, Electronic Arts was probably my prime. Okay. I also worked for Don Bluth. Isn't that weird? Big studios. Oh, and I skipped over this thing, but um, the question of do I bank? And the answer is yes, I do. Um, but I've always liked drawing. The only reason I bank is some days there is no time. For some people, some cartoonists out there, this is their only gig and they get paid very good money to do this. So they love drawing. And I guess you could say if this was my only gig and I got paid well for it, yeah, I'd enjoy it. I mean, there'd be instances where I'm a little bit lazy, but I'd still love doing it. But when you have a full time gig, plus this, plus working on a cartoon, animated cartoon, well, I'm taking shortcuts on that too. Um, well, then it makes it a little bit more complicated time wise. And so to solve that problem, we create poses that are reusable. Um, let's see. Okay, let me lost my train of thought there for a second. But yes, and we use those to basically save time, because if the same like this, from first panel to last panel, I could have simply, and oh, well, maybe I will do that. This is the solution, folks. Let me zoom out. Press the M button for marquee. Delete that. Go over to the first panel. Select marquee, copy, or to save your time, press Control J to duplicate. Boom. Duplicates on top, and then you move it to the right. And now I've saved the time, myself some time, and now there. And then I just add the new stuff that's in there. First I press Control E, see here on the layers. Control E bumps it down and merges it with the layer below. And then since I have a mask on this layer right here, it's asking me if I want to preserve that mask. And the answer is yes, since I haven't really used anything to hide anything. So now you have this layer and that layer. And then just to save myself a little bit of time, technically she's wearing black shades. So there. Actually, no, let me take that back. She's wearing shades over her eyes. There. You guys will get this joke when this is published, but I have to hide it because they're paying customers out there. I'm just kidding. I'm broke. Hence the Patreon page. I created that Patreon page because I thought it would be a good way to sort of supplement the income that would come in. And that's basically what a lot of people are doing now. They're creating Patreon pages or YouTube pages to supplement their income, etc., etc. And I'm no different, especially now, I have to admit, with everything that's going on, it's a little bit hectic, and everybody's trying to find different ways to kind of sort of make ends meet. And I feel for them. I feel for them all. Okay. Let's see. Let's fix this. All right. Now, what we're doing also is, if you notice, I'm doing these little things. I'm closing gaps. And why are you closing gaps? Well, the reason for that is we use the wand, which is up here on the left. Magic wand. Magic wand is what I use to select open areas so that I may color them. So right now we're going to go immediately to the color phase. Okay, we're now coloring Steinway's skin, which, as you see up here in the top right, I have a swatch. These are my Frankensteinway colors. That is the color of Steinway's skin. Now I go to the layers, I go to the paint layer, press Shift 5, or if I have my remote handy on my Cintiq, I don't know if you guys know of the remote. I'll have to show you another time, but there's a special shortcut button that I use to expand it by 1 pixel so that it goes beyond the black, because I paint underneath the black. So that means if I go over, it won't matter. But if I don't, then you'll see white gaps, white spots in between the layers of the black and the paint. And then once that's set, I basically press this shortcut button, which you won't see. It's off. But or Shift F5, which will then fill the foreground. So we now got his skin. Now I'm going to color her skin, her mask skin. Oh, first let me switch back to the colors and do little details. Remember when I said uniform, make sure everything matches. Okay, so now we use the magic wand again. W is shortcut for wand. And let's see. There you go. There you go. Oops, sorry, my bad. It's just the mask. We do not color her normal skin. Let's see. Expand. I'm gonna go with a what color should be her mask. I think I'm gonna go with Steinway's old colors. This is the color I'm applying to her is Steinway's original color. Boom. Well, the reason I'm not using that anymore is, I don't know, that's a good question. I still like it. I missed some spots. And for those spots that I missed, I'm just going to go manually with a brush and kind of go over it. Paint it manually because it's at this point it's a waste of time if I'm just going to select each one of those gaps with a magic wand. Oh, I should have painted the ear. Missed the ears. Sorry, my bad. And the other thing that's good about comic strips is, unlike animation, I don't really need to create. I could. It's extra work though, but I don't put things like shadows or, cell shading shadows on these things. They don't need them. The average span of attention that a newspaper cartoon gets is like 5 seconds. No, 10 seconds maybe. They read the joke and move on. So all this work is for 5 seconds of people looking at it. So yeah, you can say at that point this becomes a work of passion. 10 years. Okay, that's her skin color. She is Caucasian. Boom. Now let's color her outfit. It's kind of like a baby blue. Now, I think I mentioned this before, but the color scheme I gave Frank is kind of like a blue, baby blue, and then goldish yellow. And for all you USC fans, you'll hate me, but those are my colors for my alma mater, which is the Bruins. Ah, let's fix that gap over there. A little hole where the flesh color leaked out of. All right, now we're gonna do Steinway's shirt. Well, actually, let's do white first. Everything that's white, we color white, 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 white teeth, white eyeballs, white shirt, white shirt. I'll fix all those errors later, but usually I like to group and just do touch-ups. Do big masterful fills and then fix little issues afterwards. Then paint, set to white, fill, bam. And now, to check for holes, we color the background. So we give one giant fill. Normally I start off by filling, but I wanted to jump in right away. I'm going to go to the layer in the back, and I give the default wall color, which is this. Yeah, see, now you can see a little bit better what the strip is shaping up to be, and seeing what you missed. So I missed that puppy, this puppy, that, 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 and that. Any more? Yeah, I missed that tooth, these teeth, there. Hopefully I'm not talking your ear off, but otherwise this would be boring. I don't have any music just yet. I don't know how to do the Spotify background music, so I can't really play background music. And the other problem with the music is it interferes with the character. So every time I talk, the music will make my mouth move. Okay, so let's fix little problems here and there. She has gold medallions. It was easy enough. Ah, too much. It's pressure point brush, so if I push too hard, it does spread out far and wide. Fix that. Ah. So shortcut, if you guys have the brush on, press Alt, and it becomes the ink target. And then that way, you can use whatever color you pull from. And then release the Alt button, brings you right back to the brush. Isn't that cool? All right, put a little gray on the glasses there, just for the hell of it. So we close it, and then, okay. What else is there? Oh yeah, potato chip bowl. I always use orange. Weird, weird, weird. Okay. You're now painting, go back to the paint layer, make sure you're back there. Fill. Then fix the parts you missed. Those are hard to get with the wand since they have detail. Undo. Fix. Now the barbecue chip colors, just kind of a brown feel to it. Depending on the flavor. This is barbecue chips. My favorite flavor at the moment is jalapeno cheddar for barbecue chips. Now, when it comes to what I eating right now, it's a weird thing. It's called it's this popcorn. It's the one that it's the black bag, and it's like white cheddar, but it's flaming hot white cheddar. That'll blow out your rings. And I will eat the whole bag in one sitting. Not the small bag, mind you, the full bag. Not the fun size. All right, we're now coloring Steinway's shirt, and for that, he has a default color, which I use all the time. Oop, and it's not that. It is this. Yes, that is his color, which is also kind of my favorite color. It's kind of like a dark green, not olivey, but say dark forest type green. Let me fix that. Fix that over here. Then he has a okay. Kind of like an off-white tan pants. Can't tell. But the reason you can't tell is I put stripes on it. So select these colors for the pinstripes. Actually, let's fix it since there. Now that it's selected, now I can safely do the pinstripes. Same thing here. Okay. And finally, we do Steinway's hair and bolts. Now, these aren't neck bolts. They're cheek bolts because he's so fat. He's got no neck. Aha, ba-dum-bum. Special kind of colors for the bolts as well. Special brown, dark brown. And I make sure I fill those little gaps. All right, now this is where the background comes in. Easy peasy. Fill it, then kill it. Special color for the couch. Bam. And see what you missed. Forgot to color the potato chips. So let's fix it. Back to the paint layer. And yeah, for 10 years, it can get pretty monotonous. But again, there are days where if I had much more time and really just wanted to focus on this, I'd love to do this. But those years are gone. I'd like to say, you know, will last forever, but it's not the truth. If you see a lot of cartoonists now are switching, a lot of them are doing books. They're retiring. They're retiring from cartooning. Their strips are pretty much stopping from the newspapers because less and less newspapers want to carry them. And at the same time, there's really only one or two outlets if you want to show your strips, and there's known as syndicates. And at this point, there's pretty much only one or two. One, if you really count the big one, that handles everything. And if you can't get in with them, good luck, because they are pretty much the monopoly of the industry. It's colored black. And that's the whole thing, you know? You gotta do something else. Can't rely on them forever. Just, you must find different avenues to survive. And I'm getting late with this streaming thing. Because every kid out there pretty much has done it. I'm just an old man learning this newfangled technology. I do not understand what streaming is all about or TikToking. When I was TikToking, it's basically X's and O's. Sweet. All right. So now we color. Anyways, let's see. Coloring. Ah! Made a major boo-boo. I put the color on the black area. Okay, fixed it. Got it. Paint. Gums. Gums are important. You must take care of your gums, and they will take care of you. That's what every dentist would like you to hear, or tells you. So if you guys like what I'm doing, somewhere down the line, I don't mind if you guys would want to do requests of, it doesn't even have to be at the cartoon strips, but if you want me to draw something live, I wouldn't mind. Might be interesting. See, I have this problem of going online, hence my avatar, because I don't like being in front of cameras. They're very unflattering. If I look like Brad Pitt, no problem. But right now I just look like George Clooney, and that's not good enough. So, okay, let's color that. Looks like we're almost done. The one thing now we have to do is convert this to a black and white mode. So, first thing we do is turn off the trace layer. And then what we do also is, while we have the color selected, it's easier, select the colors that I want to convert to black. So these, using the wand, I select the colors, right? Then I select the black layer, select the color absolute black, and then fill. As you can see, he's converted to black, but don't worry, it's on a different layer. And here's a little shortcut. One layer, I created all the highlights for his pants. If I press Control, if I put my mouse cursor right on top and press Control and click, you notice everything on that layer has been selected. Makes life easier. And from there, I switch to the black layer, black and white layer, press Fill again, and bam. So now if I turn off the colors, there you go, and close it down, there. Now, sometimes it gets a little bit boring up here. That's why you turn it to black and white so you can see what requires a little bit more TLC. This is where I have a background layer that's green, so that I basically create a a layer. I create another layer here that I may reserve just for colors. So here I'll create a new one, make it blue, and then select these two layers, kind of create a little mood. I will create kind of like a, don't worry, this won't overlap because too much, because there's going to be a word bubble above it. There's going to be a word bubble above it, and actually I could stop that and just fill that. Do fill. Fill. It's one of my favorite characters on Groundhog's Day. Salesman. Phil? Is that you, Phil? And then he gets walloped in the chin. Okay. Here's a little trick I learned. From there, select outside, because what I'm going to do is kind of create a little area that kind of outlines, takes away the black from this area. So I can manually erase and trace it like this. One option is to select that layer, turn the opacity, if you can see up here, turn the opacity low, and then just cheat and erase around it. But what I like to do, it's kind of weird, I select outside first. Let me close the gaps, make sure everything's closed. Select the gap. It's interesting why it's like that. Huh. Bizarre. Then I select inverse, which now selects the object. And from there, I expand the selection, grow it, or let's see, modify. I will expand by 3. So now it goes outside. From there, I will erase. Or if I can mask it, I would. There. Okay. Might as well go back to the cheat anyways. Oh well. I tried to get too creative. Probably shouldn't. And put it back. And now her head isn't covered. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. The final has word bubbles, etc., etc., but I wouldn't put it out here because that goes in the final posting. So, in any case, that's our episode. If you do like what you see, please do us a favor and press subscribe and press like, and help us out with the YouTube algorithms. And basically, if you have anything you want done in the future, feel free to subscribe to our channel and post requests and see if if I can do it. Could be a good challenge. In any case, I hope you had a good time. And that's the episode for Lenny Draws. And come back again next time, and we'll do another one. Till then, arrivederci.